Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 21 career mode, and today we are here for the 4th and 5th rounds of the season at Portimao and Jerez. So I think I am going to struggle at Portimao. I mean, it's not a track that's completely alien to me, but I'm just not 100% there with the lines, and even at the tracks I am 100% there, the AI are still a little bit quicker in some places, so it's definitely going to be a tough weekend. Jerez might be a little bit easier once we get to that, but of course we've got to do Portimao first. So I'll head into practice. I'll see you at the end. Hopefully I'll have achieved all of the objectives and we'll be on the pace. So then, I'm coming to the end of practice, and surprisingly enough, my pace is actually not too bad. You can see we're only 69 thousandths away from Xavi Vierge, who is top of this session. I'm sat in second position, just in front of Sam Lowes. And as you can see on the right hand side, that wasn't just a fluke lap. I did that lap twice, else 3 times of 45.1. So yeah, it's actually not too bad. The pace seems to be pretty good. But unfortunately, the development tests are a little bit unrealistic, I think, to be honest, because you're supposed to be able to do a 44.8 in each power mapping. Bear in mind that power mode 2 to power mode 1 is probably about a second over this whole lap. And then again for power mode 3, although power mode 3 spins the tyre, so you don't quite get the full benefit. So it wants you to basically be able to do a 42 in power mode 3. Like, it wants you to be that good that you could do a 1 minute 42 around here for you to actually be able to do a 44.8 in power mode 1. It's just not possible. I mean, maybe some people can do it, but for me it's just completely impossible. I'm never going to get close to that. The clean up of the long lap penalty as well is obviously based on it assuming you can do that lap time, because you lose about 3.5 seconds maybe from the long lap at this circuit, and when you're doing 45, you know, if you're doing 45s, that's just obviously too slow. So I couldn't do the long lap penalty either. Time attack, you need to be at least 3rd place. Well, I'm in 2nd, so I should get that one. And race pace, again, it's just one of those things where it takes too long to do 5 laps in a row. I did do 2. I got 2 45 ones in a row, you can see there. And I dropped it to 45.5. You can see the times just dropped off since then. The tyres just sort of died. Of course, the 48 was because I was doing the long lap penalty. But yeah, unfortunately, I just wasn't quite quick enough if we try and get out of Jake Dixon's way here. So I think we'll end off that session there. That should be good enough to get us into qualifying 2. And honestly, I'm quite happy with the good pace, because if we can carry this pace through into qualifying, we should be able to battle for potentially a front row pole position again, a bit more like in Argentina, instead of struggling at the back like in Austin. Because as we know, usually the AI are actually slower in qualifying than in practice. So then at the end of the session, Vierge was still fastest, so pretty good job there by the Petronas rider. Sam Lowes ended up in 3rd place behind me, Raul Fernandez in 4th. It makes me wonder if maybe Raul Fernandez has been boosted a little bit in the newest update, because he was a little bit too weak previously, but there was an update that obviously updated the Moto 3 liveries and things like that, and the helmet models for Moto 2 as well, so that perhaps they've potentially put a performance patch in. Quite why they did the helmets, you'll probably notice if you haven't got any mods installed, if you look at the Moto2 riders' helmets, majority are just completely plain because they've updated the models. It seems like a weird thing to do before you've added the textures, but anyway, that's not really relevant to this video. So Raul Fernandez, like I said, seems to be doing a little bit better, so potentially Raul Fernandez has got a bit of a boost in the last patch. Remy Gardner, a little bit far down, considering, of course, he actually got signed for MotoGP today in real life, so hopefully he'd be doing a little bit better than 7th position. But honestly, the same sort of riders you'd expect to be at the front there. Sam Lowes, aside from Xavi Vierge, it's all the faster riders towards the sharp end. So hopefully we can get into qualifying 2 with those guys, and hopefully we can have a good shot at maybe a pole position here at Portimao. That'd be really, really good, because we do need a good result to get my championship charge back on track. Alright then, that took me by surprise a little bit. I was 2nd in that free practice session. And bear in mind, FP2 was cloudy, FP3 was wet, so it didn't look to me like there was much chance of improvement of any of those riders. And we're in qualifying 1, apparently. So quite what's occurred here, and we've been hit down a lot actually. So that's a bit surprising. That's actually threw me off a little bit there. So I'm not sure what to expect, because I thought we looked like we were back on the pace again this weekend, but it seems that I was incorrect in assuming that. And honestly, I haven't got enough tyres to do 2 qualifying sessions. I didn't even think to take that into account. So I'm going to have to stick on a worn set of tyres. Fortunately, I have got enough rear tyres, actually, for that, I think. I think, again, though, I'll have to put on this slightly worn set just in case, because I might want to use a medium rear for the race, because... Actually, you know, I'll do hard for the race, so I'll use a fresh medium rear, because that'll definitely help me out. The front, though, I want to save a medium front for qualifying, so yeah, I need to, well, qualifying 2 if I can try and get through. So hopefully this worn front should be enough to get through, but really, really strange here that we were demoted into qualifying 1, because I thought my pace would have been more than good enough. And as you can see on the left-hand side, Tony Arbolino is currently fastest in this session with the 46.1, so that almost proves my point. Like, I can do a 45.1 on this bike around this circuit, so quite why I'm in qualifying 1, not too sure, but hopefully this lap should be good enough to get us through. So coming towards the line then, hopefully this should be good enough to get straight through to qualifying 2, 1 minute 42, 1 minute 43, 1 minute 44, 45, 45.4, so not an amazing lap, but of course it is cloudy, so it should be a bit slower, and a slightly used tyre. 6 tenths clear. I'm thinking that should be good enough to get us straight through. Again, not particularly sure why we've been put in here. I guess the simulated times are really poor at this circuit. They're like way too fast, and Barry Bottas has just been the bike there. So yeah, I'll head back to the pits, end off the session, and hopefully we should go straight through into qualifying 2. So actually, no, it's not good enough as we go a little bit further on into this session. We've been pushed down a lot. You can see Manzi does a 44.8, so that's where obviously they get the 44.8 time from. That must be what the AI can do maximum. So yeah, we're in a little bit of trouble. We've got 7 minutes left to go in the session. Going to have to stick on a fresh set of tyres, I think, to try and go through. Unfortunate, because I really, really didn't want to have to use a fresh medium front, but hopefully it should be enough if we can do another good lap. This time it should be enough, and this should be fastest as well, so we actually are going to beat that 44.8, which I didn't think I was possibly going to be able to do. But there we go then, 44.6. We finally did one of the mapping management laps, but only in power mode 3. Unfortunately, cut the first corner on the next lap, but this should now be good enough for us to go through with a 44.6, and I think we've got the tyre left to probably do a couple of laps in Q2, which is also nice. So in the end, the AI improved even more. Augusto Fernandez actually topped the session 18 thousandths ahead of myself in second. Manzi then ended up in third with Navarro in fourth position. So only just getting through, but hopefully this should be the pace of the front runners as well, because that's usually how it works in the game. In qualifying, the pace for Q1 and Q2 are pretty much identical. So hopefully we should be able to fight for a good starting position on the grid, because I really, really do need one, because I need a good result to get my championship charge back on track. So on to qualifying 2 then, and as you can see, it is the usual lot you'd expect to see in this session. Fabio Di Gianantonio, Remy Gardner, Sam Lowes, Ralph Fernandez, Joe Roberts, and then we've also got Bezzecchi as well, that you expect to see him. Both the American racing bikes actually, with Ramirez and Beaubier, so quite a good weekend for those two. Bendsneyder as well, so after his win at Austin, he's in the top 14 once again. You got both of the Sepang bikes as well, with Jake Dixon and Xavi Vierge. Baldassari, who has been absolutely OP so far this season for some reason. And then Schrotter and Agora as well. So that's everybody in Q2. Well, anyone that got straight through into Q2. So I think this is going to be a tough session, because we're going to obviously have to use that same front tyre again. I have got a fresh rear tyre to use. But honestly, I'm expecting the AI to probably be able to beat me here, because of course the 44.6 that I just did, that's a really good lap for me, but I don't know whether I can replicate that, and I think the AI might be able to potentially go a tad faster. Well, you got a 44.9 already as the top time for Marcos Ramirez, and it's only been 2 minutes in the session, well 2-3 minutes, so they're either setting their fast times nice and early this session, or it's going to be very, very tight for me to actually get a decent position, because I can go a few tenths quicker than that, as we saw in the previous session, but with slightly more worn tyres, I'm not too sure, because the front tyre is very crucial in Moto 2 on this game. You have to trail brake, you have to brake quite heavily, and the tyre, you can see on the right hand side, is worn out quite a bit from only one lap. So out the last corner up towards the line, this lap hasn't been great, honestly. What is it gonna be? 43, 44, 45, 45, oh, 45.7. That is not quick enough. We do need to find a lot more time on the second lap. So towards the line, this lap is so much better. It's almost a second faster as we come towards the line. What is this going to be? Is it going to quite be pole position? Oh, 14 thousandths away from Augusto Fernandez with a 44.8. I do a 44.8 as well there. So not quite as good as I qualified one time, but honestly, considering the tyres are a bit more worn, that's not too bad. So up towards the line, this one has been even better, and we've had to manage the fuel as well. Up towards the line, please don't run out of fuel before we get to the line. Yes, we just managed to make it over the line, just running out of fuel. We go top of the session. A 44.5. Now, I'm not going to get any quicker than that, so we're going to end off the session here and hope that that is pole position. So at the end of the session then, it actually wasn't pole position because the AI managed to pull out even more time. A 44.3 for Sam Lowes there on pole position, just ahead of Remy Gardner in second with a 44.4. Myself in third, 44.5, just ahead of Fabio Di Giannantonio with a 44.7. And obviously Xavi Vierge then ended up in 5th position with a 44.8. So an extremely, extremely close grid. But honestly, the top riders in the championship, I think we're the sort of top 4 riders. Lowes, Gardner, myself, and Di Giannantonio. Of course, there is another rider up there as well, because I actually am 5th place in the championships. I'm trying to think who else is actually up there. I think it might be Joe Roberts, potentially? Unless it's Bo Bendsneyder, actually. I can't really remember 100% the championship order, but the top riders fighting for this championship are all at the front. But we're on the front row of the grid, so we've met the objective there. I feel really good at this circuit, and this was a track I thought I was going to really, really struggle at, so hopefully we can try and carry this momentum through and maybe challenge for the race win. So down here on the grid then, I'm putting on hard tyres, because honestly, I don't think there's really anything else that I can do. Well, I don't have enough mediums left anyway, actually. I don't have any fresh mediums, but I think hard would be better for the race anyway, just because the front tyre is dropping off after about a lap or so, and obviously I need to try and make it last the whole race distance. So I've got to be a little bit tactical with my tyre choice here. But this is going to be a good race, I hope, because we've got all the fast guys at the front. It's not like Austin. I'm back on the pace a little bit. I've got the confidence from Austin and Termas that I can move forward in a race instead of just dropping backwards. Now, whether they're a little bit quicker in the race than they were in qualifying, I'm not too sure. But if we can try and get a good start here, we can maybe try and make some passes. But I don't know how the AI are going to behave here in the race, because last year I had the huge glitch and they just all fell off. So it's a little bit of an unknown to me. So let's get this race started then, and hopefully we can try and get a victory. So of course here at Portimao there actually isn't any voice clips for this section. I guess it's because the track got added so late. There's no voice clip for this cutscene, but we've got 2 IO bikes on the front row then. 2 Brits as well, because Sam Lowes in first position. Waiting for the lights to go here then at Portimao. Lights out and away we go. I've not had the best jump off the line. It's a 6-lap race, actually a pretty long race. Di Giannantonio's flew past me. I've also been passed by Vierge as well on the run down towards the first corner. If we could try and brake super late though into that first corner on the inside of Vierge, we should have the position on the rear, and stepped out massively there. There's a bit of crash behind. I've got a track limits warning. I've lost the position to Fernandez now, and Vierge has gone back through, so massive slide through the first corner. That's hindered me quite a lot. We're trying to go around the outside of Xavi Vierge. Can we stick it up the inside there? No, we can't. So unfortunately, it's not been the start I wanted. I've slipped back from 3rd to 6th. I've got to try and go with this lead group because I need to try and make these positions up. Bezecchi's gone through now as well because I went a bit wide at turn 5. So we are struggling. It seems to be a Qatar-esque race so far. Hopefully we can get back up the inside of him. Yes, we can. So we're back up into 6th position again, which obviously still not ideal, but at least we re-overtook Bezecchi. So at the end of this first lap then, we have dropped a little bit back from Xavi Vierge. We've only got a couple of attempts over Marco Bezecchi, so I do need to try and pick up my pace a little here. So we're back on the back of Vierge through the first corner. Can we try and make a pass down into this hairpin? No, it's going to be very, very difficult to outbrake them into here because I have been struggling quite a bit on the brakes through that first section all weekend. So we're right on the back of Xavi now. We're trying to go around the outside. That's not going to work. We got a track limits warning for that as well. I'm sure I didn't actually go outside the boundaries, but another track limits warning in this race. But I really do need to try and pass Vierge here because I can see the leaders are getting away. So here we go down towards the first corner. Hopefully we can pass Vierge around the outside this lap. Yes, we do. So up into 5th position then. We finally got past the Patronus of Xavi Vierge. I think Gardner and Sam are gone already. Remy and Sam have pulled away. So it's going to be the battle for this 3rd place now. Can we catch up to the back of Di Giannantonio and Augusto Fernandez in front and try and get onto the podium? So here we are then, starting lap 4. I've done the new fastest lap of the race. So we are definitely catching up to Digi and Augusto. We almost crashed down the hill into that first corner, but we're onto the back of Fabio Di Giannantonio now. We actually are doing slightly better pace than Sam and Remy in front, but we're not going to be able to pass these two and then catch up to those guys with only 3 laps remaining. So unfortunately, it is going to be the battle for the podium, but I think we do have the pace to get 3rd. So through this final turn, then we're right on the back of Fabio Di Giannantonio. Every lap I've been using Power Mode 3 out of here to try and get the better run compared to the AI on the straight, because that's probably where I'm strongest over the whole lap compared to them. So I need to try and obviously set passes up down towards the first corner. I'm going to move over to the left-hand side. Hopefully we can try and outbrake Fabio. Yes, we do round the outside of Di Giannantonio. We're close to the back of Augusto as well. Potentially we can have an attack at him as well. We've got a track limits warning there for that, because we're right on the edge of the curb. So we've only got 2 more to use, so we have got to be careful. Digi's back at us though. Digi's trying to come back around the outside. Through turn 4, Di Giannantonio around the outside, but he couldn't pull it off. So we stay in front of Di Giannantonio. We're up to 4th place. We've got 2 laps now to try and pass Augusto Fernandez. Hopefully I can do it. Bezzecchi's done fastest lap as well now. So actually Bezzecchi has followed me through, look, because he's gone past both Di Giannantonio and Vierge. So I've actually got to watch out for Marco Bezzecchi, because he's for the danger man. Here comes Bezzecchi. Bezzecchi's looking at the inside to the last corner, and I've not got the grip to get on the gas. So Bezzecchi almost got past us there. And honestly, I think it might have affected my attempts at trying to pass Augusto Fernandez. I'm going to try and get in his slipstream a little bit to close up even more. But Bezzecchi definitely is the person to watch out for then. So as we go down towards the first corner and start this final lap around the outside of Augusto Fernandez, we take 3rd position. Remy Gardner at the same time, I think, takes the lead away from Sam Lowes. But I've taken 3rd position, so up onto the podium then, 2 IO bikes. Hopefully Sam can have a little bit of a go at Remy as well. Although I know Remy's my teammate, of course, and Sam is the championship leader, so I need him to finish as low as possible. But if they could start scrapping, potentially we could bridge that gap, but actually it's probably a little bit too big. But if you can see behind, Bezzecchi has followed me through yet again, so Bezzecchi is desperate for this podium. So coming towards the line then, we're going to finish in 3rd place. We close so much up to Sam Lowes. If we had another lap, I think I could have won that race, because Remy and Sam were losing so much time. So yeah, I started that lap about 1.6 seconds behind them, finished 7 tenths back. If we had another lap, I would have won that race. I would have caught up to Sam Lowes and Remy Gardner, and I mean, with the pace I was catching them, potentially I would have passed them as well. I don't know, maybe I would have only just caught up to the back of them, but for a win, you're a bit more willing to go for it, whereas when I was battling through the pack, I didn't want to throw away like a 5th place or something like that. I wanted to consolidate the podium, but honestly, a little bit disappointed that I didn't win the race and I wasn't quite in the battle with those two, because I just lost too much time on the first lap. A track that I wasn't super comfortable with on an opening lap. The tyres weren't up to temperature, so the AI managed to blast past me. But you know what? We've met the objective in both the qualifying and the race. That's the best weekend we've had so far. I'm back on the podium again, so I've got the pace. So, not the end of the world. We may have lost 4 more points to Sam Lowes, but we made a good amount on Di Giannantonio, and I don't even know where Bo Bendsneyder is, but he's miles behind, so we definitely made some good points on him. So in the Riders' Championship then, Sam Lowes actually continues to lead then, 10 points ahead of now Remy Gardner in 2nd position. Fabio Di Giannantonio moves down to 3rd place, 24 points back. I'm now 27 points behind Sam Lowes, so I do need to start pulling my finger out a little bit, trying to beat Sam in some of these races, because that's over a race win's worth now. But I do move up to 4th place, so it's not the end of the world. Marco Bezzecchi moves up to 5th position. Honestly, me and him have been finishing in very similar positions all throughout this season. I mean, in the first race, he beat me by like 1 position. The second race, we were 2nd and 3rd. In Austin, I think I beat him by just a couple of positions as well. And then once again here, I beat him by a position. So really, really close between myself and Bezzecchi so far this season. Bendsneyder then moves down. Augusto Fernandez moves himself up. Raul Fernandez as well after his crash that cost him quite a lot in Termas in the last episode. Unfortunately, we're not leading the Riders' Championship, either me or my teammates, but hopefully, as the season progresses, I should get a little bit quicker, so I should be able to challenge a little bit more. Jerez coming up as well. Should be a strong track for me. It's usually a pretty weak track for the AI. I mean, in Moto 3 it definitely was anyway, so hopefully we could try and win there, but my focus is just to be a little bit more consistent, because obviously we've had 2 podiums so far this season, an 11th place and then 8th place, so 2 really good results, 1 okay result. In fact, well, 11th wasn't the end of the world either, especially since it was the first race, but I do need to focus on the consistency before I look at trying to win multiple races. But I do want to try and get at least 1 race win under my belt, because, you know, we've still not managed to do that yet. We're back in Europe as well, so yeah, it's getting a little bit tricky, but hopefully we should be pretty strong in Jerez. But let's head into the Career Hub now and end off this weekend and then head into Jerez. So, a fantastic weekend for the Reputation. You can see we gained 21,000. That's absolutely unbelievable, because we met both the objectives for once. It's the first time all season we've actually met both objectives. 3,500 for the qualifying, 7,000 for the race, 10,500 for the VIP multiplier bonus. And that gives us 21,000. So a really good weekend there. Hopefully on the credits we should be rewarded pretty handsomely as well. yeah, you got 10,000 there for the objective. So overall, we got 12,637, which takes us up to 217,581 credits. But unfortunately, it wasn't great for the research data front, because a lot of the practice programs were pretty difficult for me to pull off. But we have got a lot of research data anyway. I mean, look, we've got over 5,000 on the engine. That's because we have a really good engine person. Again, on the electronics as well, we have a pretty good member of staff there. I think potentially the frame is an area I'm going to want to work on. So I think I should hire the person with the slightly better frame. In fact, we actually have got a couple of things to do between these races then. So Chief Engineer, we've got a new one applying, David Moreno. So very good on the frame. So speaking of the frame, but it's at the detriment to the engine, and I don't want a detriment to the engine. So if we potentially have a look at William White, he's still an improvement over the current person on the engine. Not so good on the electronics, so we're not going to have quite as much there. But we already have quite a lot of research data on the electronics as it is, so it's not an area I'm exactly desperate for more. I kind of feel like potentially it would be a good idea to sign William White, because it's only another 35,000 over the whole year, so it's not the end of the world. So yeah, you know what, I think I'm going to sign on William White here so we can get a little bit more research data on the frame, because we were a bit poor on that front. So if we have a look actually at the headquarters now, a long time till the electronics upgrades in, 11 weeks. In fact, if we actually have a look at this, what do I need? So for the electronics, I need 1,500 for one of them, 2,000 for the other, and we have 2,819. So not quite enough to fully upgrade the electronics yet, but honestly not far off. But on the engine, now we can put another upgrade on. So I am going to have a look to see what these different upgrades are, because I think we could put any of the three that are, well, any of the three that are available, this one, or this one on, because we've got enough research data for all of them. These two here, these are both fuel consumption. What about this one? This is maximum torque increase. So I kind of want the bike to be a bit smoother. So adding more torque is probably not going to help that, but we need the extra straight line speed. Fuel consumption, we're really good for fuel actually on this game. Something I struggled with a little bit with in MotoGP 20, but on MotoGP 21 the fuel consumption is very, very light. It's very easy to look after the fuel consumption. For saying that the engine mode makes a huge difference as well, I feel like I never really struggle with fuel consumption. I can use Power Mode 3 on the straights throughout the race and not worry about it still, so that's always nice. So we'll put all three members, in fact I think I might have just, yeah, I've just put them on the research data again. Right, okay, so I need to put all of the engine staff on here, on this upgrade. There is actually a member of staff that's meant to be on the engine on the frame, I think, as well, because I think I accidentally stuck them on the frame. So we only have 3 people on the engine because of that, because I made a mistake. But it should take 10 weeks then for this to upgrade with those 3 on it, so we will do that. So it'll be a while till we get that upgrade, and then 1 more week till we get the frame upgrade complete. So it's going to be after Jerez, unfortunately. But speaking of Jerez then, I think it is time to head into that race now. Hopefully we are strong there, because I've been strong there in the past on previous games, and even on this game I was pretty strong there last season in Moto 3. So hopefully I can carry that momentum through, and maybe we can try and get our first win of the season. So then, at the end of this first practice session, as you can see on the left hand side, we are currently fastest. I've only just managed to do that time once though, a 1 minute 42.7. But fortunately it was still good enough anyway. I had to use Power Mode 3 for it as well. But that's just because the times that have been set in this session are very, very difficult. If you have a look at this development test here, we've got to complete a valid lap under a 1 minute 42.7 for each type of tyre compound. So I've only done that once. I've literally only got under that 42.7 once. And I can't see myself doing it another 2 times with 2 different sets of tyres. I did manage to do the clean lap, which was a 43.0. And then I just did clean lap with long lap penalty, which was a 45.6. I think I only just scraped through that, but I did just manage to do it, fortunately. There's obviously the time attack one as well, which needs me to finish in the top 3, which I currently am in. So the end of this session, that should put us straight through. So it's another development test we've completed there. But as you can see, it is a very, very tough one. But one interesting thing I actually did notice was I was just trying out different tyre compounds in this session. This is the first track where I would say the soft tyre is definitely viable for qualifying. Well, in this case, no, it's not going to be, because it's actually a wet qualifying session, it's wet track. But yeah, I would say soft tyres are viable. They can actually last a full lap around this circuit. Not anymore. You're not going to get 2 laps out of them. They are gone after a lap. But they can actually do a lap without severely hindering your time. I was still quicker on a medium just because it gives you more braking stability and it doesn't spin quite as much. But the soft did still last. But I'm hoping that this should be good enough to get us straight through into qualifying 2. However, qualifying is going to be tough because no traction control in the rain. Yeah, that's not going to be so fun. So at the end of that practice session then, I was fastest by half a tenth ahead of Celestino Vietti in second, Remy Gardner in third place, Marco Bezzecchi fourth, and Sam Lowes in fifth position. So starting off the weekend right, top in the first practice session. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this might be the first practice session I've actually topped all season, unless we might have topped one back in Argentina potentially, but it's a good way to start off the weekend. Unfortunately, I think the wet qualifying might throw my weekend off completely, but if I can get a good qualifying position, I think we could genuinely fight for the victory here. We have got good pace. This has always been a pretty good player circuit. Yes, I only just beat Celestino Vietti's time. However, in the race, they can't do those same laps consistently. They're not going to do a 42.7 every single lap. I mean, I'm not either, but the AI aren't as well. So it might be possible to fight for the win here. Just depends how we qualify. So speaking of qualifying, let's get it started. Hopefully the pace in the wet is good, but with no traction control, I really doubt it. So in qualifying 2 then, all the people from practice, of course, got through the top 14 because that was the only dry practice session of the weekend, was FP1. But coming through Q1 then are Cameron Berbier, Jake Dixon, Augusto Fernandez, and Raul Fernandez. So Raul Fernandez not having a great weekend so far, but managing to get through, so I suppose it's not the end of the world. I think what we've got to remember here is that it is a wet track session, so the fastest times are going to come at the end of the session regardless. However, I think it's still worth my while going out and doing a banker lap, and then at the end going out with a few seconds left to go, just crossing the line, and then sort of trying to be the last person across the line to have the best time possible, best track conditions. But it's definitely worth going out and doing a lap first. It'd be interesting to see if the development tests actually transfer across. So now I've only got to do a 1 minute 50.1 for each tyre compound, it says. So obviously it's been slowed down because it's wet. Currently though, Joe Roberts is on pole with a 50.1, so I need to go top of the session to get another point on that. So it actually could potentially be possible for me to pass that over the course of the weekend, because if I get a good qualified session here, I'll probably use hard in the race, and if I can get a good fastest up in the race, I actually potentially could complete that one as well, which would be just some extra research data, which is always handy. But the bike, oh, I've down already. Yep, the bike is not going to handle too nicely in these conditions, unfortunately. Although, fortunately for me, bike damage seems to virtually be non-existent in this game. It is an option, and I've got it on, but bike damage is unnoticeable, as far as I can tell anyway. But the bike does not feel great in the rain so far, so that really doesn't bode well for me. Well, I think you can get a good idea of my pace based on how much Gigi Antonio has pulled away from me on this lap, and considering I was only 6 seconds down after my crash and ended up 7 seconds down. So yeah, I think we are going to struggle in this qualifying session, but hopefully this lap is a little bit better, we don't crash. So that lap then was still only good enough for 9th, 1.6 seconds off Bezzecchi at the top, who's now gone to a 49.8. So it might actually be better just to stay out this whole session so that the AI can't get too many simulated times in, because I'm thinking that might be a bit of an issue. So if I could try to stay out on these tyres the whole session, the track conditions should just improve. So then I'm coming out for a final run in this session. You can see I have been chipping away at the times, and we have got progressively faster, but then so has everybody else. You can see Gardner's now fastest with a 49.6. Lots of red sectors going up. The track is just getting better and better, and you can see obviously everybody's coming out at this point of the session as well. There is Remy Gardner, speaking of him. So we should probably try and get onto the back of him, if possible. Although I do need a lap or two probably to put the heat into my tyres. So it's a good job that I've come out with about 3 minutes or so to go, because I do need to obviously heat up these tyres, get them bedded in, and then do one good lap right at the end, because the track will be in its best condition. I'm only 1.3 seconds off of the top time, which is not too bad, honestly. Hopefully we should be able to get into the 1 minute 49s as well, because the track will be much better. And it'll have been a couple of minutes since I did my last lap as well. So we'll just have to see what we can do. Unfortunately, it does become a little bit of a lottery in these conditions, because whoever's last over the line's got the best conditions and probably the best lap. Oh, Gardner's had a crash, so Gardner's binned it on his lap. Bendsneyder now goes to the top, so Bo Bendsneyder is absolutely ridiculous in this season so far. He's already had a pole position and a win so far this season. And once again, it looks like he's set for another pole position, although he is going faster again, so is Joe Roberts. Although Joe Roberts has binned it now, so he's not going any quicker. So out the last quarter then. Bit of a slide come out the last quarter actually, but up towards the line. What's this time going to be? Hopefully it's good enough for a decent position on the grid. It was indeed. It was good enough for a good position there. 4th place, half a second away from Bo Bendsneyder, who takes his 2nd pole position of the season, actually, ahead of Celestino Vietti in 2nd place and Xavi Vierge in 3rd. So, actually a little bit of a mix of riders in front of us. None of the proper top guys actually in front of us, although Bo Bendsneyder is up there in the championship because of his good result back in Austin. We have got Joe Roberts behind us, Remy Gardner as well, Ralph Fernandez, Marco Bezzecchi. Where is Sam Lowe? Sam Lowe's down in 11th position, a second off. So Sam Lowe's has got some work to do. Fabio Di Gianantonio down in 14th as well. So yeah, it's a little bit of a topsy-turvy grid. And honestly, a session that I thought was going to be terrible for me and was going to hinder me a lot, I've actually come out better than any of my championship rivals. So I would say then, for this race, some of these guys probably not going to be quite as fast to the dry. Not a super long run to turn 1 for me to lose positions. I say we've got to go for the win here. I don't think I can accept anything else. So then, it's actually cloudy weather here, and honestly, I'm not 100% sure what tyre compound to go with. I think I might actually risk it on a medium, purely because it is cloudy weather rather than sunny. I think if it's sunny, I probably would have gone hard, but I think medium was borderline viable as it is, even in sunny weather, and I think definitely in the cloudy weather it should be viable, especially with slightly slower riders ahead of us. Not saying they're super slow, they will be quick because the game will probably recognise they started at the front and make them a little bit quicker anyway, but they're not the riders I'm usually battling for the top positions when I've been up there. So if we could try and get in front of those guys, maybe try and make a bit of a gap, we could get a win here. But this is going to be a tough race. I know it for a fact. Every time I think I'm going to have a good shot at a victory, it's always a tough race, and I always lose places off the start. So I need to get off the line well, hopefully try and pick off some of those guys and try and get to the front.
Just a few moments to go until the start of the Spanish Grand Prix, and these riders know it will be vitally important to get that first corner spot on.
So then, here we are, 4th place on the grid. Everything counts about this start. Waiting for the last guy here, then at Jerez. Lights out and away we go. We've not had a great reaction to the lights. Joe Roberts has gone past me already. So has Remy Gardner and Ralph Fernandez. So we go down towards the first corner, trying to break as late as I can. We've got somebody on the inside. It's Iagora on the inside, trying to get on the gas as early as I can out the first corner. So Ralph Fernandez is stuck on the outside, so we have got back in front of Ralph Fernandez. Jake Dixon's looking at the inside. We've gone past Iagora there, so we've picked up a couple of positions that we lost there. We've got Joe Roberts just in front of us. Then it's Remy Gardner ahead of him. So hopefully we should be able to get past them pretty quickly. We've got a really good run here on Joe Roberts. We should be able to have an attack up the inside to Cito Pons. Ooh, that was close. Joe actually managed to roll it through a lot better than I expected. I've got the tight line though. Here we go. Straight down towards Daddy Pedrosa corner, using a little bit of power mode 3. Going to try and make the passes here on Joe Roberts and Remy Gardner if possible. On the brakes then down towards Daddy Pedrosa. I've got it a little bit hot around the outside actually. Super hot. In fact, so I don't know where I'm going to drop to. We've not got past any of them, unfortunately, so it was a wasted attempt there, but at least we know that we can outbrake them. I know I went in a little bit too hot, but if I broke a little bit earlier, I still would have outbraked them, but I should have got the moves done. But I need to try and get past Roberts and Gardner, because I can't keep losing positions on the first lap and then letting the race leader get away when I've got pace to win. And up the inside we go of Joe Roberts. Joe Roberts trying to hang it around the outside, but I'm not having any of it. Back up the inside of Joe Roberts we go, up into 5th position, so we've only lost 1 position overall on this lap, although Joe Roberts is coming back at me, which is a risky place to pass. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to be able to pull that one off. So we go then through this corner. We've cut it quite a bit there, so a track limit is warning. Fair play. I was trying to set up for the corner, and again I just messed it up. I think I did a similar thing actually in Moto 3. Again, I think I was battling an IO bike then actually, although of course I wasn't racing for them back then. But out the last corner, the AI gets such a good drive. And honestly, I was thinking about it in practice actually. I wonder if the AI actually have the traction control. I don't know whether they maybe have the assisted electronics rather than the realistic, which would explain so much how they can get out the corner so much better and why they are so quick. It's because they, you know, basically have a 3 second a lap over you with the traction control. But either way, we do need to strike quickly because Bo Bendsneyder is pulling away at the front, which I didn't expect, but to be honest I should have done because he did win at Austin after starting on pole position. But out of Cito Pons once again. Hopefully this time I don't mess up my brake and I can try and get past at least one of these two. I think Gardner honestly stuck behind Vierge. So if we go around the outside of the pair of them, try and close them off. Yes, there we go. Perfect. Around the outside of 2 riders. Pretty good move if I don't say so myself. and back up into the podium positions. We've done it with plenty of laps to go this time though. It's not like in Portimao where I only had a lap to go, so hopefully I can try and catch up to Vietti and Bendsneyder. Oh no, back on the inside they both go! Oh, and Gardner! We've had contact with Gardner. Gardner's down! Gardner's gone down as he makes a pass at the inside. I don't know if that was my fault, whether I turned in on him a little bit there, but it kind of caught me off guard when they went on the inside there. I mean, a good move from both those AI. So back down to 4th place again, and honestly I'm getting so frustrated and staring at the back of Xavi Vierge in these races. He gets stuck behind him. I really need to get past him so I can try and bridge the gap to those 2 leaders, because I think in clean air I probably have got the pace. So here we go then, right in the slipstream of Xavi Vierge. Can we make a pass here up towards the line? Bendsneyder does the fastest lap of the race, but there we go. I go back past Vierge once again, and if I can keep in front of him through this first sector, I should be able to start trying to mount an attack on Celestino Vietti, or at least try to bridge the gap to him. So coming to the end of this lap then, we've closed right up to Celestino Vietti, but I want to pass him immediately because I just want to go after Bo Bendsneyder. I know another 2nd place would be fantastic, and 2 podiums in one episode is great, but I just want to go for this win. So here we end the slipstream then of Celestino Vietti. We do a new fastest lap of the race down towards the first corner, similar pass to what we did to Xavi Vierge at the start of the previous lap, and there we go, up into 2nd place. You can see the brake disc on the right hand side is so hot that I've got the biggest disc on you can have, so unfortunately my braking ability seems to be a little bit better than the disc, and the disc is overheating quite a lot. Hopefully in this clean air I should be able to cool it down a little bit, because we could be in trouble otherwise. It's not going to be enough, unfortunately. We're about to start the last lap, and I'm only 0.9 behind him. I am doing fastest lap of the race pace, but it's just not enough to catch up to Bendsneyder. Down the straight towards Danny Pedrosa corner, it's just not going to be enough. I'm just a little bit too far out of range to try anything. If I had another lap, potentially I could do it, because right up to the Danny Pedrosa corner, I mean, granted, I've gone super wide in, but my brakes are hardly working at this point. They are so faded. You can see they're still overheated, even with the clean air. They've been getting even hotter and hotter the entire race, and it's just not going to be enough to catch up to Bendsneyder. We're so close. I'm watching my fuel as well, because I've only got 0.4 of a lap left after the race is done, because I've been using 3 throughout this lap to try and close up. I've given it absolutely everything on this lap. We're right behind Bo Bendsneyder. I'm just going to have to send it into this last corner at the inside of Bo. We go into the side of it completely. We've hit him. I'm just going to have to let him have the position because of that. So Bo Bendsneyder just hangs on. It's yet again another last lap. Just not enough to catch the leader. And once again we miss out. I had the fastest pace by far in that race, but just wasn't enough. We lost too much time behind Xavi Vierge again. This is the problem, is every race it's Xavi Vierge that gets in the way. He gets past me and I can't pass him. And oh, we just lost so much time. I think, well, if I hadn't gone wide trying to pass those 3 around the outside, that would have been enough. It was only a couple of tenths of a second. It was so close at the end there. Of course, that was assisted by me kind of hitting Bendsneyder in that last corner, but I had to send it. I had to go for it because it was the only chance I had of overtaking him. But oh, we closed so much up on that last lap. I'd barely taken anything out the previous 2. And I just stuck it Palmo through that last lap, put everything on the line. I mean, I risked crashing at every corner. and he just had enough. So yet again, I miss out on the victory, and it is really starting to frustrate me now, because that's 3 times really that we've just ran out of time to catch up to the leaders that we would have beaten if we had more laps. So in the Riders' Championship then, beforehand I was actually saying that Bo Bendsneyder, not a massive threat for this title. Well, he's second place in it right now. He's actually ahead of me again. He's jumped back ahead of me now. So Sam Lowes continues to lead, 14 points now ahead of Bo Bendsneyder in second place, 15 ahead of myself in third, Remy Gardner in fourth position. Now Digi Antonio moves down 3 positions there, so Digi having a really poor weekend. Vietti moves back ahead of Augusto Fernandez and Raul Fernandez as well. In the Teams Championship, though, a pretty good weekend for us. We extend our lead to 28 points now over Elf Mark VDS Racing. So we are at least leading in one championship, and I'm the lead rider in the Riders' Championship now as well. So quite why actually Gardner is in front, I'm not too sure, to be honest, because it should be me at the front now on this screen, because I'm in front of him in the championship. But oh well, I guess it doesn't matter too much. It might update in the next race potentially rather than in this one. But we've got to head back to the career hub now and end off this episode. But again, I just can't believe it. We're so close to yet another win. So a good weekend on the reputation then, gaining 16,400, which takes us up to 223,275. And on the credits, of course, we met the race objective, so we get paid 13,137, which takes us up to 212,718 credits. On the research data front, actually not too bad. We missed out on 2 objectives, but the rest weren't the end of the world. So we've now got 4,748 on the engine, 2,540 on the frame, and 3,049 on the electronics. So then there are some notifications to deal with at the end of this weekend then. So personal manager, we've got a new candidate applying, Ricardo Rizzo. If we go over to him, cheaper, but not really any better, so we'll just leave that for now. But the thing that's probably the most important is the headquarters. So now we can put another frame upgrade on, and that's definitely what I'm going to do because I really need it. I mean, better reactivity, that definitely is going to help me out with the change of direction. Although it does seem like we have picked up the pace a little bit now. Unfortunately, of course, the better reactivity isn't going to come in for the French Grand Prix. Although this first upgrade will probably give us that. Although I think it's probably the tyre consumption that I've just put on. So we should have slightly better tyre wear in France, hopefully. Again, I need to try and pursue a victory there, but either way, we'll put all of the people on this frame. I think I've put the engine person on there again, but I guess you're just a frame person now. Random engine engineer that I accidentally put on the frame earlier on in the season. But I don't really have too much to say now. I mean, a really good episode overall. Second place, third place, really good. 2 podiums, that's the consistent podiums. We're actually finally up there fighting. We got a front row start as well. We're up to third place in the championship now. We've decreased our lead to Sam Lowes by a decent amount over the course of this episode, so I wouldn't say that it's been a bad episode. It's just unfortunate that again we lose out on the final lap because I didn't have to pace on the opening lap effectively. I do need to try and work on that, of course, but honestly the AI are just so good off the line on this game. It does make sense though if you think about it, that the reason why they're so good off the line, I mean in Moto 3 they were always good and I'd lose a few positions, but in Moto 2 they're even better. And I think that the AI probably do have the assisted electronics. I think that would definitely make more sense. It's why they're so much more stable around all the corners, and they just pull away so easily because they've got traction control, which obviously is worth so much time. I mean, they make traction control for a reason. It's because it's quicker to use it. I mean, if you have it up too high, it can end up being slower. But overall, it's probably still better because you can gas it a bit easier. You can look after the tyre more, so yeah, I think the AI probably have an advantage in that area, but it is shaping up to be a really close championship so far, so hopefully that will continue into the next episodes. But I hope you guys did enjoy that one. Hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Hope you're staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.